Today we're going to be talking about associations of scatter plots, and then we're going to then follow that up with lines of best fit and trend lines for scatter plots. This lesson, or this note taker, will be done over 2 videos. This first video is going to focus on this first part, and then you'll come back in a second video. We'll be focusing on that second section. If you have not already glued in your note divider and your vocabulary sheet, please stop our video, pause it, and go ahead and get that glued in, and then you can come back to where we're at. So if you already have your divider in, what I would like for you to do is go ahead and make sure that you are continuing with your page numbering. Your page number might be off a little bit from mine, just because this is only one of my class periods and every class period is a little different. So I have my divider on page 146. Yours might be 1 or 2 pages off. That is totally fine. The next page would be your vocabulary. Some of the vocabulary terms you're going to see in these next 2 modules are scatter plots, cluster, outlier, association, and trend line. All of these have to do with the statistical data that we're going to be talking about in the next couple of weeks. To start, we're going to, I'm going to be on page 149, we are going to be answering this essential question. The question is, how can you construct and interpret scatter plots? So in order to be able to construct or create and interpret, which means find the meaning of, a scatter plot, the first thing we have to do is identify, well, what is a scatter plot and how do we use it? So by the end of the lesson, you'll know what a scatter plot is, and then we'll be able to look at that scatter plot to pull some information out of it. So I'm on 149. To start, we're going to be talking about associations of scatter plots, and this has to do with some trends that you might see within those scatter plots. If you open up your note taker, you're going to see there are 3 different types of associations. The first one is a positive association. Then we are going to move to a negative association and no association. Looking at each of these scatter plots, you'll notice that there is data plot on our coordinate plane in a variety of different ways. In a positive association, you're going to see a trend where your data is moving in an upward direction from left to right. What that means is as the x value increases, that's this right here, your x value, as it gets higher, your y value is also increasing. And that just looks like this upward trend. Now, if I have a scatter plot with all my data plot on my coordinate plane, and you notice that it's moving in this downward trend, we're going to call that a negative association. And what that means is as the x value increases, again, is as you move along your x-axis, your y value is decreasing. And then you have this one where the data points are plot kind of willy-nilly all over the place. This one has no association. It's not trending up, it's not trending down, it's kind of data all over the place. So that means that there is no correlation between the x and y values. Really, that's all that there has to do with looking at the association between scatter plots. It's going to be one of these 3 associations. So when I look at this example here, we have a graph that gives us quite a bit of information. The title says basketball shooting, so that means that somebody's going to be shooting basketballs. The x-axis represents how many shots have been attempted. So how many times has whoever is shooting this basketball thrown the basketball at the hoop? The y-axis represents how many shots made. So you can kind of see, we can look at some of these data points and say, all right, after about 10 shots were attempted, about 5 shots were made. Over here it looks like about 35 attempts and probably something like 18 shots were made. what we're going to do is we're going to look at this and we're going to describe the association. Now, I can see that there does seem to be some sort of trend that's happening. If I were to draw a line kind of in between all of my points, you can see that it's kind of moving upward. We call that a positive association. So I'm going to describe it as positive. And a positive association. Okay, and then from there I can make an inference. That's going to be that possible reason for this positive association. Well, I can infer that the more shots that are attempted, will result in more shots made. That would be a possible reason for this. If I attempt more shots, the shots made is never going to decrease. That's where that positive association comes from. As that x-axis increases, so does that y-axis. So all of this has to do with different types of association. You're going to spend a little bit of time practicing some problems and identifying what the association is of those problems when you finish this video. If you need to go back to any part in the video, feel free to rewind. If you want to watch the entire thing again, that is totally fine as well. But when you are finished with this note taker, you are going to work on the Association of Scatter Plots practice page. When you're finished with the Association of Scatter Plots practice page, you'll come back and view the second video where we're going to talk about lines of best fit, trend lines for scatter plots. Okay? I'll see you in a little bit.